Good morning. I've had a couple of inquiries here about Unit 9.2, and people wanted to get a good feel for, they struggled with the quiz, so I wanted to show you guys a few things here. So nevertheless, I want to walk you through the quiz. So the first thing I want to do is share my desktop. Bear with me 1 second while that comes up. Okay, good. All right, so just shared it, or I should have shared it. Let's see. Okay, good. All right, so now, in order to get 9.2, we've got to understand what a parallelogram is, all right? So I just did a quick Google search, all right? And a parallelogram is a simple quadrilateral being four sides, with two pairs of parallel sides, okay? So we got two pairs of parallel sides. The opposite or facing sides of the parallelogram are equal length, okay, or congruent, okay? And lastly, the opposite angles of the parallelogram are equal measure, okay? So if we look here, side AB, right, is parallel to side DC, okay? And we can see that with the arrow or parallel marks there, all right? And then side AD, okay, AD is parallel to BC, we see that. Now I also want to point out something that's very, very important, okay? Notice here, on the diagonals, right, they are bisected by both sides, okay? So that means that AE is equal to EC, okay? So EC, okay? Or we can say they're congruent, all right? The same with DE, okay? Because we've got one tick mark here, and EB, okay? So DE is congruent to EB. All right. Now, one last point is the angles, okay? Since we know that the sides are parallel, right? We also know that angle DAB, okay, this angle here, and angle ABC here, right? We know that these add up to 180. So angle A plus angle plus angle B equals 180, and B plus C equals 180, and C plus D equals 180, and D plus A equals 180. So essentially what we're going to be doing is some algebra based on these assumptions, okay? So let's go over to, bear with me 1 second. Okay, so let's look at quiz 9.2. First one I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab question number 1. Okay, and I'll paste that in here. So we got question number 1, and based on these assumptions, right, we know that, let me just move this towards the center. Okay, so we know that QR, okay, is parallel to PS, okay, and we know that the opposite facing sides of the parallelogram are equal length, okay, so we can automatically assume that QR is congruent or equal to PS, okay. Now we have to solve for x here, all right? So since we know QR is 10, right, we're going to set that equal to PS, which is negative 6 plus 2x. Negative 6 plus 2x, okay? And now we got to solve for x. So the first thing we do here is we're going to add 6 to this side. And we're going to add 6 to this side. Okay. And we've got 16 is equal to, that's going to cross out, or that's going to cancel out. And we got equals equal to 2x. Now we're going to divide by 2. Divide by 2. And x is going to be 16 divided by 2, which we know is 8. So x equals 8. And 2 times 8, if I just plug that back in, we've got negative 6 plus 2 times 8, right? We just substituted 8 back in. 2 times 8 is 16, and we've got negative 6. Negative 6 plus 16 equals 10. And 10 is equal to 10. There, boom, we're good. All right, so the answer here is x equals 8. Okay, that's the first one. Now let's go to the second one. So here, all right, let me snip that out of there for you. So now we got question number 2. All right. And I'll come down here. I'll paste it. Just move that over. So now we've got opposite angles, okay? Opposite angles in a parallelogram, okay, are equal to each other. All right, so these angles are opposite. All right, and you can kind of see, if you just look at it intuitively, you can kind of see that these angles, because it's telling us a parallelogram, but we can kind of see that these angles look like they're greater than 90. All right, and we know that they're equal. They look similar. So since we've got angle, one second, let me just move this up a little bit. So we've got angle is congruent to angle x, and angle V, okay, we're going to grab this formula right here, is 34x plus 5, and that is equal to 30, oops, one second. That is equal to 35x plus 2, okay? And now I need to set these equal to each other. So I'm going to move the x's over here just because it makes it look pretty easy. So I got negative 34x and negative 34x, okay? And let's draw the line, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so that cancels out, and we got 5 is equal to 35x minus 34x, which is going to be x plus 2. Now we're going to have to subtract 2 from both sides. Oops. So we do it to one side, we do it to the other side, and now we've got 3 is equal to x. So it's saying that x equals 3. So let's just double check this. So now I 34 times 3 plus 5, okay? 34 times 3, 3 times 3 is 90. So that's going to be 102 plus 5 equals 107, 107 degrees there. 107 degrees there. And we got 35 times 3. So now I'm working on the second equation. 35 times 3 plus 2. Okay. So 3 times 30 is 90 plus 3 times 15. 15, that's 105. Okay, 105 plus 2 is 107. And now we know that angle X is also 107. So they match. And so the value is X equals 3. All right. And we'll just come back over here and X equals 3. And here X equals 8. And we knew that X equaled 8. Good. All right. So now let's go to number 3. So we got number 3. All right. And we're solving for X in a parallelogram. And this is important because we're now looking at diagonals and the bisector, okay? So let's take a look at this. So they tell us that CE, okay, which is C to E, all right? The total of that is 46, right? And then GE, okay, which is half of it, all right, is equal to 3x minus 10. Okay, so there, 3x minus 10. So the first thing that I wanted to do here is I know that if C to E is 46, I need to find half of that. Half of 46. So I got 46 divided by 2 equals 23. Okay. So this portion of the diagonal or is bisected, that's 23. And this portion is also 23. So now we know that 3x minus 10 equals 23. Okay. So I've got 3x minus 10 equals 23. And I add 10 here, and I add 10 here. Okay. And I got 33 is equal to, this cancels out, 3x. Divide that by 3, divide that by 3. Let me mouse down a little bit here, and I got x is equal to 11, okay? Now, so we know x is equal to, another way we could have done this was we could have said, because this is bisected here, all right, we could have said 2 times 3x minus 10 is equal to 46. All right. Again, this and this have to be equal. All right, because it's a parallelogram. And they told us that C to E was 46. So if I did it that way, I would have 6x. I'm going to distribute, right? You guys know, you guys remember that. So I got 6x minus 20 is equal to 46. I'm going to add 20 here. I'm going to add 20 here. Okay, boom. All right. And 46 plus 20 is 66. That cancels out. Equals 6x. And divide by 6. And I divide by 6. And that cancels out. And now I've got x is equal to 66 divided by 6, which is 11. All right. So I come over here and I double check it, and x equals 11. So now let's go to number 4. So I'll mouse down, boom. Okay. Now we got to solve for x, all right? And we've spoken about the properties of a parallelogram. And I know intuitively that angle T and angle U both add up to 180, okay? And if you look at that, you got a straight line. And if I extended these out, we went through this as far as what are equal, whatever. But anyway, so these two angles add up to 180. So I got 180, okay, equals 84 plus 16x. All right. Now, I'm going to subtract 84 from this side. Subtract 84 there. I subtract 84 here. Okay. 180 minus 84 is going to be 96. 96. That cancels out. All right. And that equals negative 16x. So now I divide by negative 16. Okay. And I divide by negative 16. All right. And let's see. Negative 16. And so that's going to reduce to x. I cross that out. Boom. Okay. So we're good there. And 96. So 16 times 16 is 32 times 3 is going to be 96. So that's going to be negative 6, I believe. Negative 6. So let's just double check it. Negative 6. X equals negative 6. Negative 6 times 16. First of all, let's just check something. It's not 84 plus. It's, I'm sorry. This is supposed to be, all right, I've got to start over. I mistakenly made that a subtraction sign. Very, very important. So let's go back here. We've got 180 equals 84 plus 16x, right? Now we're going to subtract 84. I subtract 84 here, okay? And that is 96 equals 16x, not negative 16x. I divide by 16 there, I divide by 16 there, and I get x is equal to 6. So let's just make sure that I'm doing that math right. 16 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36, and 3, and we got 96. So x equals 6 there, okay? And 16, yeah, 96 plus 84 equals 180, and that's correct. X equals 6. So we'll check back over here, all right? And I just want to point this out to you. As I was doing the math, right, on this first one that I was working on, I set up the equation incorrectly, and I came up with a negative number. I'm saying, okay, negative 6 times 16 is negative 96. How can that angle be negative? That doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I had to redo it. That's important for you guys to have an idea of what the angle should be. And you know it can't be negative. That made no sense whatsoever. And that's why I ended up going back to it and redoing the problem. So x equals 6. So let's take a look. Let's hopefully I'm right. Oh, yes, I'm right there. X equals 6. So that's for question number 4. Now, question number 5. So let me snip this out. I got question number 5 here. Okay. And all right. So they're telling us that x e, all right, which is this line here, all right, that is 2x plus 2, and EV, okay, is equal to 3x minus 4, okay, and we know that these are bisected, so they're equal, so I can just set the equations equal. So I got 2x plus 2 is equal to 3x minus 4, okay, and I'm going to move my x over here, so I say negative 3x, negative 3x, okay, so I got negative x, right, plus 2 is equal to, that cancels out, negative 4. Now I'm going to say negative x, oh, 1 second, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. All right, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Subtract 2, okay, cancel that out. I got negative 6 is equal to negative x. or x is equal to 6. All right, and that's our answer. X is equal to 6. All right, and I'll just double check my math. So if I plug the 6 back in, I say 2 times 6 plus 2. That's 12 plus 2 is 14. And the other side is going to be 3 times 6 minus 4. Okay, and 3 times 6 is 18, minus 4 is 14. They are equal, and that's what we want. So x equals 6. Come back over here. X is equal to 6. Good job. Okay, so that's number 5. We are all done. Couple of important parts. Important parts. Okay, we've got parallel sides. Okay, opposite sides and opposite angles are equivalent. The angles that are not opposite, okay, are going to be supplementary. So we've got 2 parallel sides. 2 parallel sides. We've got opposite sides are equivalent or congruent. Opposite angles, okay, are congruent, okay. Adjacent angles are supplementary, which also means they add to 180 degrees. And our diagonals are bisected. So the total diagonal is 2 times the bisected piece. All right, the bisections are going to be equal. All right, that is it. So anyway, I appreciate your time here. Thank you very much. I'll come back over here. I'm going to stop sharing my desktop, and I hope you all are having a great Tuesday. So